We'll be reviewing Nicolas Cage's 2012 film, Stolen, today. Ahead, there will be spoilers. We begin with an inebriated man on the streets of New Orleans, but he is apprehended by an FBI tactical team who are now on the lookout for some thieves they have taken the time to apprehend in the act, believing they intend to steal a diamond store. However, Montgomery and his associates, Vincent and Riley Jeffers, are hoping that their hacker, Hoyt, will breach the security cameras. Hoyt's wife will call him and speak with his daughter, whom he adores, about how long it has taken him to complete his work. Hoyt will respond that it is finished because the FBI is listening to everything the team hits at a toy store and will unlock it so they can move inside with Vincent and begin getting ready. The FBI is now leaving, and Riley is on a vacation with Hoyt. Given that Will and his crew don't do simple activities, FBI agent Tim Harrison seems perplexed by the apparent ease of the robbery. Wood and Vincent reach inside to begin drilling the vault and unlocking it as the FBI hits them to arrest them in the hopes that the ACT would unlock it. However, when the FBI enters the diamond store, they discover that the diamond is still inside. Upon entering the vault, Will and Vincent discover cash and gold. They will tax the $10 million to get the cops to leave the toy store. Will and Vincent are now in danger when the FBI discovered that they were stealing the bank. Although they are a little late, Oswell, the FBI, arrives at the bank's front entrance. Will and Vincent get tense as Vincent accidentally shoots himself in the leg while moving out and hits a caretaker, threatening to murder them. Vincent then takes Will to the escape vehicle. When the cops catch Will red-handed, he fights them and borrows their vehicle to flee, but Hoyt drives away and will move back to grab the money. Since the police have received a complaint on the event, they are now pursuing him across a parking lot. Agent Tim is making every effort to induce him to approach Knox, a woman in a vehicle, but he immediately pauses to flee around him. When they attempt to place him in a dead end, he is able to hop over and move out to continue. But he ends himself at just that. Now that he has nowhere to go, he chooses to burn the money and commit himself, since he knows that the police won't arrest him for a long time until they have evidence of his crime. 8 years later, Will moves out of prison after his serving, and when the bus reaches, he buys a doll for his daughter as FBI agent. Tim has come to pick him up with him thinking that he still has the money he stole. Will tells him that his wife divorced him 4 years ago as Tim informs him that his partner Vincent is dead. As of now, he tells Will that Vincent joined a gang that led to his death as Will reaches to his old apartment, where he finds her daughter named Allison. She hands him a package left for him and asked her if they could talk hence. Moving to a cafe where he tries to explain to her, but he runs out of words. He gets a paper where he reads telling her that he never chose to be a criminal, but it was the circumstances and need leads us well as untrustworthy friends. He tells her that he has now changed and wants to focus on her, but she only moves out mindlessly as she says she is hitting for her shrink sessions. She calls a cab, leaving her with a doll that she's no longer 7 years old, and leave with the cab. We move to a bar where Riley is now working, and she gets excited to see World again. She gets him a drink as they sit down to talk with her, telling him about Vincent's death shortly. Will receives a call from the package he got from Allison, and it's Vincent, who he presumed did. According to Vincent, it has taken him 8 years to get his portion of the $10 million. When Will claims that he burned the money, Vincent informs him that he has kidnapped Allison and that he needs his money immediately. He even altered his name and identity to blame Will for the events that occurred the previous night. With Vincent, now a psychopath, threatening to murder his daughter if Will doesn't give him the money, Will has 12 hours to save her. The FBI's investigation is ongoing. Willis. Vincent takes a taxi to a warehouse and sets up shop to sell drugs. Allison will phone Vincent once again, and he tells him that the money is in Tuscaloosa with his lawyer and that he needs a day to retrieve it. Because he needs the money, Vincent promises to search him down, but he only gives him 12 hours. Vicente not only soundproofs the cap trunk but also rushes to acquire a new phone. He then leaves the phone in the train as he heads to the Tuscaloosa train station. Vincent was on call forwarding when he texted it. Now that Allison is in the cab truck with Vincent driving around, Will tries to meet Agent Tim to tell him about the situation, but Tim thinks Vincent is dead and that he needs help. He shows him Vincent's file on his death before asking Agent Fletcher to take him outside, but Willis is escorted out. When he gets to the lift, he hits both agents to get one access card to move up, still inside the police building, and he accesses one computer where he checks out on Vincent's file. Later, when to get to the man in the taxi who is now conversing with Vincent, who doesn't appear interested, Allison is now ripping the sponge seat. Despite Allison's best efforts, Vincent becomes enraged and hits the man, dragging him out of the taxi and leaving him hurt on the street. As police have now learnt that Will was looking up Hoyt's address on their computers and planning to relocate to the same place, Allison notices a buzzing phone and attempts to call it. When Will asks Hoyt about Vincent when he returns to his house, he first tells a falsehood that he is dead, but then acknowledges that he just dropped his luggage. In response to his question regarding his daughter's location, Hoyt discloses that Vincent is transporting him in the car's trunk. According to him, Vincent became mentally sick after Will was incarcerated and began to hold Will responsible for everything that transpired. Meanwhile, the FBI has arrived at Hoyt's place as a fight breaks out between Will and Hoyt. FBI is moving up as Will is still struggling with Hoyt, who tries to shoot him dead, but when he opens the door, the FBI shoot him dead as Will moves out to escape. He jumps on another roof as FBI chases him while shooting, and he jumps down onto some old woods and escaped back to the street where he falls into a cab and recalls the same cab that his daughter took. He takes the cab as Allison is trying to text 911, but the car stops to kill her plan. One traffic officer tells Vincent to stop because his backlights of his cab are not working. He moves to him to ask for his license and registration as Allison is inside shouting for help, and as the officer is leaving, he hears her and tell Vincent to open the trunk, but he instead shoot him dead on turning. Allison has escaped from the trunk, and Vincent chased her to drug her again after she ransacked into a dead end, and he puts her back to the cab trunk. Will makes the cab driver he hijacked to call the dispatch, as he wants to attract the signal of Vincent's cab after asking his details by describing his one-legged character. Will get to all he needs and drag the other guy out to drive one as fast as he can because now he has few hours to save his daughter. He reaches the location where he expects the cab described belonging to Vincent is and moves through the crowd, and on reaching the cab, it's only Frank as Vincent left his GPRS in its trunk shortly. The FBI arrive again to arrest Will and charge him for violating his payroll as well as accessing FBI illegally. He breaks his thumb and hit the agents causing an accident, but instead move out safely to talk to Vincent on a call, who now knows that he was at Hoyt's place and fooled him about going to Tuscaloosa. He tells him that Allison is going to be dead, which prompts Will to tell him that he is going to get the money by moving back to his old ways of robbery. The agents are still looking for him as he keeps running through the Mardi Gras crowd to call Riley for meeting in their old usual place. He meets Riley, who he tells that Vincent is still alive and has kidnapped Allison. He informs him that there was gold in the vault on the last robbery and he wants her to help him. They robbed the gold agent. To make sure Vincent is still alive, Tim looks into his file when he gets to the taxi dispatch. As Riley gets ready for the heist, they begin to prepare everything, navigate the tunnels, and gauge how far he can cut through as an agent at the bottom. Now, Tim is also wondering where Will acquire the money. As the gold falls on the water to cool, Will begins to melt it. 5 minutes before the alarm goes off, Tim discovers that the alarm has gone off and immediately rushes to the bank. Tim and his group are accessing the vault as Riley is packing the gold. By the time they enter, Wool and Riley have already left with the stolen gold, which they load into a vehicle and leave. Tim waits to be caught when some cops report suspicions, but they are duped into discovering Riley and a doll as Will makes his way to Vincent. After dragging Ellison out, Vincent phones Will, who verifies that he has the gold and top to show Allison as evidence of life. To ensure a fair encounter, the FBI is also continuing monitoring Vincent's movements and determining the locations he may have frequented most often. When Well first encounters Vincent at night, he asks for Allison before going to his vehicle to deliver the gold to him. Given that he wants to exact retribution for what occurred 8 years ago and intends to burn, it seems that Vincent is not yet satisfied. When Vincent shoots him and manages to put the automobile on fire, Allison will leap to defend herself and prevent him from doing so. In order to cool the taxi and rescue Allison, Vincent, who is trapped in the flames during their ongoing struggle, would sit in it and knock him down. As he begins to struggle to unlock the trunk, Vincent tries to choke him once again, but he deters him and rescues Allison. He kills Vincent off, but he reappears. Allison has an injured Will now. The agents take him up as a helicopter arrives and tell him that he won't be jailed since he informed them that Vincent was still alive and that his daughter had really been kidnapped. Later, Riley and Allison travel to meet. But the FBI is still monitoring and he knows it. He talks to Riley while holding gold, then pretends to toss it in the ocean, but actually tosses a pineapple stone, leaving the gold on the table. Thanks for watching, and see you later.